you see the game, and that I would learn it. That he, do what he do, because I'll be in the store and Italian Mafia show up, and I see how my father talk to these dudes that he ultimately worked for. I mean, I guess he's more like a consultant or a contractor, but my point is, he still worked for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And gangster with them. My father always had a team and a crew, and this is Harlem. Y'all not from here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, y'all still control the purse strings. But my point is, they would hit the block, pick up their money and stuff. It wasn't doing, But my point is, people on the block or near the, with my father, they would act a little frightened and scared. Just seeing these particular white people come through. My father never showed fear like that. As my father's best friend said, I don't think he was afraid of anybody in Harlem. I never seen him. There was never a fight or situation. Probably the biggest thing that came up, and my parents have passed away. That's why I kind of talk about this stuff more openly now. What's my man's name? Everybody's talk a lot about Preacher.
Oh yeah.
You have to understand, my father was alive, and you would hear him talk about Preacher. Now, turn on TV, Black Preacher, all kinds of stories, documentaries, and he was that. It was nothing to someone like my father, My father kept trying to create a situation with him, right? When he finally, when in his mind he interpreted that he was violating, extorting some dudes, and he thought my father's thought he made a mistake, basically. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then he walked away when he realized he made a mistake. But he was into extorting people, Preacher. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't want to make that mistake with my father. And I'm not, and I guess, I'm not going to act like one is tougher than the other. What it is, I think, at the end of the day, they realize that both will go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Until one is, and so if you're not really trying to lose everything, because both people are going to lose everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then you step away. Let's say my father comes from a culture in Alabama where they would tie their arm and behind the back, right? And each person ties their arm behind the back, and each person has a knife. And matter of fact, you tie yourself to the other person somehow. I don't know how they do it. You have a knife in the other hand, and y'all stab each other to death. Right? And whoever goes down first, loses. And so in my class at the University of Delaware, we read stories from the Deep South where because I want people to realize this stuff is real. This is a real practice. My father comes from that. Well, that happened all the time in his neighborhood. So his mentality does not change. You know what I'm saying? When he gets to Harlem. Right? What was his first street name? Shotty or Shotgun? Or something like that. I guess he gets to Harlem in the 50s or somewhere around there. And he shoots the block up when he comes home one night. I guess people start saying certain things, and he's like, "What?" And he ain't the most politically correct person. So he gets that nickname at that time. But my point is, you have people who are coming from such social structural trauma that the way that they cope in certain environments, you know what I'm saying, at least to me and some other, is extreme. But for my father, nah, this was how things were. So my father wanted me to understand him from that perspective. Listen, I know I'm rough around the edges, what he used to say to me. I know I'm not a diplomat. Can't put all my words together right. He would say stuff like that. But I just want you to know that I care. And it's really through that space that I began to recognize, no, Pop Duke's not only care, he is the smartest person that I know on earth. And then I began to really understand what he was trying to say. He began to teach me about structural inequality, structural violence. He always told me, Yasser, let me tell you something, particularly as I got older and I started doing public speaking in New York. Mm-hmm. And I get, some big crowds, and got invited to Hot 97 once, Lisa Evers' show, which is called Street Soldiers, was big at that time.
Nice.
And I was doing my thing out there, and he was like, listen, let me tell you something, Yas. Because now he's getting scared for me as things start to bubble.
Yeah.
Listen. He wasn't scared for me in street stuff, but right, which is interesting. He's scared for me when I'm in this zone messing around with power. They will kill you if you keep talking about feeding people. Right? And that's how we start to learn. They don't give a shit about feeding everybody, yo. You think they don't know these damn hoods is poor and broke? You think they don't know that reentry is tough? You think they don't know that most of black men here ain't got no goddamn jobs? Right? He wants me to wake up. Wake up, yo. You think they don't know this shit? You think it's doing it? That's what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? You think you figured that out? oh, you think you just gonna work hard? These niggas are gonna work hard, and then all of a sudden they're gonna get out. Ain't too many of them gonna meet no Michelle Fine, my white Jewish doctor advisor who I'm still close with. Her 40th anniversary is today. I'm supposed to be there, but I said, one of the things that we got to do besides our meeting this morning was I got to do the show. But
we appreciate that.
We appreciate that. It's all good. And so he began to wake me up, like, cause he's ran around. He was a bodyguard for Malcolm X, and he's around a lot of Black revolutionary movements and groups.
You just kind of tossed that in there like that's like.
Yeah, my father was very close with the Malcolm X's family, very close with his wife Betty Shabazz. Also support her when Malcolm was out of town. My father owned stores then. He would make sure to give her food and things. They were struggling, he said. He also worked for his Malcolm X's sister, Ella Collins, right? And we would go to her house when I was a little kid before she passed away. I think she passed away in the 90s. Don't give me the line. She was gangster. Like Malcolm was gangster. Okay, she was 13 times more gangster, and she had dudes like my father work for her. And do all kinds of crazy stuff. My father would tell me some very interesting stories. Very well respected also in the Black revolutionary movement, meaning Malcolm's sister, but she was also very respected in the streets too. And that family's going back and forth from Harlem to Boston. But he was more like a bodyguard. He was there when Malcolm got killed. Malcolm didn't want any bodyguards there, interestingly enough. But a number of them were still, they just hung around. He had pushed everyone away. And as a lot of us say in Harlem, Malcolm and Martin, but Malcolm wanted to die. I mean, Jesus Christ, you did everything almost to ensure it. Maybe because he was tired of running, everyone threats, whatever it was. But all of those experiences, his lessons from the days of Malcolm, his conversations with me about capitalism and inequality and its functionality, its necessity, and how he just wanted me to wake up. Like, what do you think is going on? And not that you don't fight this fight, but at least fight it knowing, being armed with the knowledge. So through all those experiences, I realized my father would love to do what I am doing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? He would love to go back and get an education, to do analysis, to open and lead a community research program. He constantly read. Although he still had 8th grade education. I have to understand, I was born with my father. When I was young, my father could not read or write well. And by the time I'm older, this dude was just constantly reading. You know what I'm saying? And he wanted to go back to college and school. He thought about it all the time. In fact, my situation with me even doing well in school, particularly in grad school now, it began to, in a weird kind of way, mess with him a little bit. Because everything that I had went through and I still got a PhD, in his mind, he felt like, well, if I really wanted a PhD or a college degree, I could have gotten it too. So now that he loved what I did, but it's kind of now putting that odds against us on the low. You know what I'm saying? And I let my father know, man, you how? 8th grade education, you run in here, you got to be prepared for a moment like that. I mean, what are you talking about? Like, I know everything that it takes for you to be successful in college. Do you have the mind? Absolutely. At what point would it even been possible? Like, are you serious? Like, and not to say you still can't make it happen, but dude, like, there's so many barriers put in place for you to get to where I'm at, and it's only because of you that I'm here. Also, my brother Calvin, he made sure I'm there too. But it's only because of those two, literally, that So I said, you didn't have what I have in you. You know what I mean? And now, then I started working with my father to get his GED, and let's start doing it now. You know what I mean? And then it became difficult for him to work with me. The fact that the son was teaching the father, that's about 2-3 weeks. Let's just put this down, guys. Let's just put this down. I'll let you know when I'm ready. All right. But my father helped me get to where I'm at, and he let me know that I am doing what he always wanted to do.
It's incredible, man.
So, yeah, that's a lot. That was rich, man. So we want to thank you, man. Thank you.
No doubt, brother.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us, man. And just thank you for everything, man. You've been able to definitely glean a lot from this conversation and just in general being around you. You know what I mean, and the work that you're doing in the community, man. So
I just want you to know real quick, man, Amar and Coley, and Amar in particular, let me tell you something about your pops. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I've always, like, keep in mind, I've always in my life wanted to be doing what I'm doing now, right? Thought about it in different ways, different words, different, necessarily wasn't always calling it street part, but always wanted to work with a group of brothers who had a certain set of experiences, right? But to go back to the community to do God's work, right? But particularly in the streets or with that population. And coming where I came from and how I grew up. So I did the first street part project as my dissertation for all my friends, and we just went at it, right? And you have to understand, when I'm first starting out, I don't have a frame of reference. There's no study in the literature like how to do this. Nobody's doing this, and it's just like so the question, even from my doctoral advisors and everybody, is like, yo, can this even be done?
Right.
You have to understand where street part was. Can it even be achieved? What most people are doing, right, particularly who do my kind of work, they're just doing qualitative, and they're going out and they're meeting, they're doing interviews, and they're just snowball sampling. So, okay, I know these 5 guys, maybe these 5 guys can hook me up with these 5 guys. But the idea that they're going out to get 800 surveys or 500 surveys, nah, right? So the big question was, could it even be done? And a lot of folk back in New York thought it was ambitious, even in the community, even some of the hustlers. Nah, dude, you wildin', yo. And I was insistent, right? 'Cause I'm stubborn and I'm angry, I'm going to all these different dope and coke spots, and we're gonna get the surveys popping. That's what we doing, And they're like, all right. And mind you, I'm going out dudes at that time were active.
Right.
Right. I think all 4 of them were active. Bloods, Crips, all that. I mean, it's 4, but even when we hitting the block, they getting a little nervous. Nigga, first I'm paying you. Nigga, this is your block. What you going on? You active. I'm in school. You know what I'm saying? But I began to understand. They needed me to model. They hustling on the block, but they never, did a survey project or anything like that.
Okay.
They love everything that we talked about in the trainings and all of that, but this is the real thing. And not that anyone got so scary where we didn't do anything. Everything worked out. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, I realized, okay, people we need a frame of reference. People have to see this model, right? We're just at the stages of, can we do it, and or how do we do it, right? So what does Delaware offer me? It offered me a lot of confirmation that you had a critical mass of black men and women, from the streets that were really down to do this shit and really be committed to it, in a way that the community will receive it. So. So Delaware is a blessing 30 times over for somebody like me, and definitely is ground zero for actualizing the idea of street park. And so I think we created and organized such a groove where, again, I think we're numb to a lot of our achievements. We talked about this morning in the meeting. But where I'm from, I just gave a talk at my doctoral program a month ago, and I'm talking about this stuff in front of everybody. But where I'm from, like, the idea that we're doing all of it is like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Because as all of my professors back in the early 2000s says, we never thought you'll take it here. James Jones said this at the Center for Study, in my presentation the other day at the University of Delaware. James Jones, very famous social psychologist, and he knew me as a young doctoral student. And I was spouting these ideas around street park. It was laughable in some respects, at least, but not by me, by others. It's too ambitious. Why do you really want to do that? And yada, yada, yada.
Really?
And so if you don't catch your mind, right, you can almost feel like, damn, maybe I'm bugging. You know what I'm saying? And I never, I'm still stubborn, and I didn't know if it was going to work out or not. I knew I was going to keep trying until I figured something out. I didn't have to do first project, home run out the ballpark in terms of the group coming together and coalescing. And I realized then, simple acts of love. Just show up, be here on time, let's do good work. Everything you say, you ain't got to be $1 million. You know what I'm saying? If you got it, great. But listen, let's go do the work, man. And your father and so many of us here in the community, have helped, my dream, now our dream, really sincerely, authentically come true. And for that, I'm internally indebted to your pops, and and the rest of the team as well, because it's like, man, so you thank me, but no, bro, just keep this in mind. I definitely, I definitely appreciate you thanking me, but I also thank you from the bottom of my heart and the center of my spirit for everything that you've done for me. You know what I'm saying? And so many others in the community. You are, Wolfie, and a number of y'all are the kind of mentors. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I always say simple acts of love and just a mentor, just be there, and there are so many guys, and I'm sure you realize it, and maybe you don't realize, I just want to be around y'all. Yeah. I see it. They whisper it to me. They guys want to be around me too, but nah, you know what I'm saying? And as it should. And it's just like, so that's a special kind of power. And I just feel like, you've nurtured and you've harnessed that gift that God has given you. I mean, and just keep at it, man. Just keep at it. I know sometimes it feels thankless, but so many people are watching you too, and everything else that we're doing, man. And even when we feel like no one cares, no one is watching, they're paying attention, bro.
Good stuff,
for sure.
So with that, we're going to end this very first episode of Missing Dad. Again, we want to thank Dr. Payne, Yasser Payne, for coming out here.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it.
For sure. Now, y'all may need to edit some of that. I get to talking, and I'll be like, yo, oh, Jesus, I didn't realize how long I was talking. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to need to edit too much, though.
For sure. Yo, man, podcast is where it's